Hi. So I promised that we would post another video before we went to sleep. We was a little bit busy today, but
She fell
we
asleep.
still got the video. Really. So the subject tonight was how do you heal from past relationships so that you can enjoy your next relationship? And I kind of feel like Damir did it better when it came to healing from past relationships. I felt like he did it the right way, so I'm going to kind of let him talk more this time and explain like what he did and then what I did, or hmm, we'll just talk about it. So
So pretty much, okay. Well, a lot of issues that a lot of people have is when they go from one relationship to the next one, they usually don't give themselves any time. They're like, man, I'll just go to the next one. Ain't can't nothing bad happen. And then they wonder why the next one don't work as well because they still holding on to the insecurities and everything and like the bad things that happened to the past one. So the best thing to do when you go into a new relationship is, for one, not treat every association that you have after a bad relationship like it's your new relationship. For example, you could just start associating with people, being around people, but it technically has doesn't have to be a start or like the beginning of another relationship. It could just be just an association. So for me, what I did is pretty much gave myself like a break for about a year and went to therapy, went to and spent a lot of time mainly with myself instead of just because also it's also kind of damaging just constantly hanging out with people because if you just not really you got I feel like a lot of people don't understand how much like pretty much self love has to do with anything because if you don't love yourself enough you can't really love somebody else that much either. So what I did, I took a break for a year, went to therapy, spent a lot of time just being around myself, understanding what I want with the next person. Kept asking myself, was I ready? And just testing the waters out here and there, but nothing major. And it did pretty well in the end because I was like kind of almost over a lot of stuff. I mean, I still had issues like the beginning of our relationship, but I mean, it wasn't as bad as it could have been if I just jumped into it.
yeah, I also feel like when it came to me trying to heal from my past relationship, which was a couple years in, it was like a really long time. Um, I kind of did the same, like took time off. I had little friends here and there. I mean, you do things like that. Some people to pass your time. It is what it is. That's what people do.
Right.
But that's what it was. It was just people to pass my time or things like that. But when it came to like trying to start another relationship, it was more so I knew not to bring the stuff that happened from my life. Okay, so I felt as though what happened from my past relationship happened in my past relationship. One thing you don't do is bring what happened in your past relationship to your current relationship, or you start thinking like, "Oh my God, he doing things like this, just like my past, or he doing it." You start comparing things like that. It's never going to work. Also, if you don't let things go and just okay, I'm going into something new, this is somebody different, and just have that mindset like this is somebody new, this is somebody different, um and you start treating them all the same way and treating relationships all the same way, you'll end up constantly in a circle of going and choosing the same people because you didn't even take time out to love yourself and see what you really wanted or see what you really needed. You just go jump into the next person, and it's just it's not gonna work because you still have your insecurities. You still have things from thinking like, oh, this person is doing this, that, and the third, and I don't know.
Yeah, you start creating a lot of assumptions. You'll just create assumptions that are not even there just because like okay the situations look similar, but the results are gonna like be different. That's a completely different person. You can't go in an aspect of new ways like this is gonna happen. Like no, you can't. You keep jumping to the gun and is always doing that. And you can't. Another thing you can't do is just because you want to be in a relationship, just tolerate everything. You gotta learn how to set standards and start valuing yourself more. Stop feeling like the next person like oh they might be too good for me. No, you have to like maybe I'm too good for them type. Not cocky type of thing. Just love yourself, knowing
Confidence,
that you
right?
deserve good things. You deserve better don't feel like you have to settle for anything because you really don't. Because you're not required to be with anybody. But your self happiness is a really big factor, and you really need to like that. You really need to feel like that's like a major priority. A lot of people don't make that a priority anymore.
Yeah. Another thing it comes down to with, especially because okay, in our past we both got hurt from our significant others. So what it came down to for us was communication. Communication works for us. When I feel like something's not right, or I won't just keep, because I was one of those people to keep things like tucked away or hold on to it, and then I'll wait until something happens and then explode. That's not how it works. So it's like when things start bothering me in this relationship, we know that we need to talk, or we'll have a conversation, and this is what's wrong, and this is what's bothering me, and this is why, because we both been through the same hurt. So it's more so like we need to, even though we came into the relationship knowing we're different people, this is a different person, and we are in a whole new relationship, we still, regardless of how you really want to go in there, like, okay, I'm going to take it as this is a different, you still have those insecurities when it comes to, oh my god, he get off at 11 and he's working a little bit later. Now I think he's doing something because of what happened in your past. You cannot do that. Like, you cannot bring that, because that's a whole different person. So you have to remember that. Like, that's a whole different person. You don't bring what happened in your last. Oh well, my last relationship, when he was 10 minutes late, he was cheating on me. You cannot do that. That will destroy your relationship from the beginning. Thinking of negative things. It's just like, keep it positive, keep the communication, keep the lines of communication open, and not just communication. More so, if somebody's talking to you, are you comprehending what they're saying? Are you really listening to what they're saying, or are you just sitting there like, oh yeah, okay, okay, and just keep saying okay? No, if you don't understand, listen. I don't know what you're saying. Like, break it down for me, like what's happening. But communication is everything. Communication and understanding what the other person is
It's
saying.
not just in front. When we mean by communication, we don't mean just talking. We mean the volume of what you talk. Like for one thing, when we communicate, one thing we as a big thing, we don't yell. If we ever feel like we have a problem with something, it has to be addressed. And when it's addressed, okay, what's about, we'll sit there, listen, go over it, like what, like when did the like situation occur, if we ever have it, because we really hardly ever have anything. Because a big thing with us as far as communication is like a lot of things can't sneak up on us because usually we both know everything already. So when situations happen, it's like, okay, let's discuss it. We already discuss, like we already, like it doesn't. That's a big thing in our relationship was like communications, because we communicate so much, we really don't really deal with the surprises. We come to understanding with things before they even become an issue. We come to understand it before they usually even become an issue. And if
Right.
it's an issue,
Always gonna have a hater.
but it's also, if it's an issue, we'll also, for example, if it bothers one of us, usually we'll just cut it right off. But it's not even like we not even have to be. Oh, I need you to cut this off.
Person.
We'll just do it. We'll just do it like automatically. It's not something we're forced to do. If anything, you find anything coming like in between, you gotta like know to completely just cut it off.
Yes, that's another thing when it comes to your happiness and being happy in relationships. And I promise y'all, we don't have no coronavirus or nothing, but we got the sniffles because we like to sleep under the air. So if you hear us keep sniffling from time to time, it's because we sleep under the air. We're sorry for that, but we ain't got no COVID. But but yeah, it's just like you have to protect your energy. You have to protect your happiness. Is But you have to find yourself first. So I just put it as to actually like come into a relationship, and I just feel like just let everything go from your past. And if it takes time for you to do that, and you need to take time, then take time, but don't rush into something else, or don't think that you need somebody to be there. Because if that person can't wait, then they can't wait to be there. Like when me and Damir started talking, we knew, like, it was like straight from the text messages, like, oh, this nice. Like, we just started talking, we started chilling. It was a different vibe. Everything was different. And even when he said about the whole we don't yell, we don't, I used to be ready to, and he be like, am I yelling at you? Am I doing, like, so it's like you can't bring what happened, you can't bring something from an old relationship into, because all I knew in my old relationship was yelling. Like, that's all it was. It was no communication, it was nothing. But with that marriage, just like, he let me yell, and he'd be like, okay, but I'm not yelling at you, so calm down. And it's just like, oh yeah, you're right, you're not. And it's a whole different vibe. It's different. And I feel like just taking that time out, both of us having a year off from our, like, the toxicity that we was in, and just like getting to know ourselves and like just doing things. Like I never used
It's
to go
definitely
just
not
going
easy
out.
though.
Yeah, just doing things. It's not easy, but
It's
it's
really
just
not
like
easy. Just taking a year off for yourself, it might seem like easier said than done, but it's very difficult. Just because like it's not something that most people are accustomed to. Like you get accustomed to being around somebody every day, talk to them every day, to just like cut them out completely, and it just is. You get it gets like kind of difficult
and
if you
please
become
cut them
used.
out completely because some people don't and they'll still keep it's toxic. You have to cut it
Yeah,
all the way off.
yeah, you
Like
have to cut it completely
no
out because
communication.
you don't really heal from it if like here and there they're still being a part of it. Like you have to cut the communication completely off because if you know it just doesn't work at all.
Yeah, even with because most of you would know my ex would be my child's father, so I couldn't completely cut him off. We still needed to, but when it came to it was only strictly about the kids. But you have to cut it off. Like the communication part. If y'all have kids together, if it's not about your kids, any other communication is done and over with. Like that's it. This is over. Like that's it. You healed yourself. You got through that. You on to something better. Like that's all people need to realize. Like just let it go. Like just let it go. No conversation, no nothing. And to some people that really is hard. Like he said, you're used to somebody every day, but in order for you to make sure to protect you and protect your energy, just let it go. If it don't feel right, let it go. Just let it go. But definitely, it is definitely a different feeling when you actually like take the steps to just know who you are first before you just go and be with somebody else. Because if you just go and just jump into something else, you're just bringing everything from your past, all your baggage, everything is getting packed, and you unpacking it right back out with this person. That's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to keep that baggage over there, throw it away, buy some new baggage, okay? Get some new ones. It's empty. You start over at this person. This is not the same person. And one thing you do not compare. Oh, my old it was. Do not do that. Just don't compare. Even if you see it, just don't even like. Just don't compare. That's one thing I personally just don't like when somebody tries to compare me to somebody else. So I don't like that. So yeah.
I think so. That wraps it up.
Anything else?
I think that wraps it up.
No. So protect your energy.
Good night.